Fellow YouTubers, just another short video for you. Try to educate you and let you know what's available out there and what the parts of your guitar are, so that you know your way around your instrument, so you'll be able to talk with other musicians and understand what they're talking about as they describe certain parts of their instruments, what to take care of, how to take care of it, and what you can do and what you can't do as a novice. So stay tuned and let's get enlightened. Thank you. This is acoustic guitar. Go over the parts of it first. A lot of it goes across platforms, whether it's electric or acoustic, but then there's some parts that are different. So what I'm going to do is go over them first with the acoustic, then I'll go over with the electric. Now there are three main parts to the guitar. One is this end up here, that's the headstock. Then you have the neck with the fretboard on it, and then the rest of it is the body. Now, what we're going to do first is start with the headstock. Now, almost all guitars have a headstock. Of course, you get into the travel guitars and some of the Steinbergs, which do not have a headstock. So it's not always true, but almost all guitars have a headstock. All guitars do have tuning pegs. That's what fastens one end of your string to your guitar. This is where the corrections made to tune it up or down, whichever way you need to tune it. That's what they're for. They're called machine heads, tuners, whatever you want to call them. But that's general name for them. As you go down the headstock, where the headstock meets the fretboard, there's this little device here. It's usually bone, sometimes it's plastic. It's all according to how expensive the guitar. Sometimes it's brass. Very important part of the guitar, because that's what passes the strings through and lines them up so that they go properly down the neck and fit on the neck well. The way the notch is created in that is for a certain size string, so that it allows that string to pass through there. Sometimes when you try to go with a larger gauge string, sometimes you'll have problems with it holding up and binding, and your guitar won't stay in tune. So that has to be corrected according to the size of the string. But now, generally speaking, if you go one or two sizes up or down, you're pretty safe. But like I said, sometimes if you try to go into a real heavy gauge, you may run into problems. So you may have to get those filed out accordingly. You don't want to file them out too big, but that's what may go on. Okay, the next thing you look down the line is your fretboard, and that is on your neck. Necks take all kind of thicknesses and widths. So it's a matter that as you pick out that guitar, that you pick out one that's got something that feels good in your hand. As you see down the fretboard, you see these little metal liners. That is that's a fret. So as you chord these things, that fret is important. What you try to do is, when you're chording your chords, you try to get your fingers as close to you as you can to that fret without being on top of it, unless you're playing a slide. When you play a slide, you want to be directly over that. So that's the purpose of the fret, so you know what chord or what note you're playing at that time. So you also have fret markers. Most guitars have dots on the top of the neck as well, so that the beginner don't have to turn his guitar plumb around to see what he's got in the front. But you'll usually have fret markers. This one doesn't. Usually on the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 12th, and so on as it goes up the neck. Those fret markers help. Like I said, if you're watching somebody else play, that kind of helps as a roadmap to tell you where they're at on the neck, so that it's easier to play. Also, for you as a beginner, you're trying to figure out where you're at. It also helps you with that. Also, as you go around the side of the fretboard, you'll notice that this one has a white lining around it. That is a binding. Some guitars have it, some don't. You get into cheaper guitars, they don't have that, so you won't have that luxury. What that tends to do, in my opinion, it tends to make a smoother transition where the frets come off the fretboard, where it makes it easier if you slide your hands up and down the neck. All right, but that's about all I can tell you about the neck and the fretboard, other than there is a truss rod. If you look at this cover under the headstock, that is a truss rod cover. And I stress to beginners and novices, do not fool with this. Leave this to a professional until you attain enough knowledge about your instrument where you can tighten it or loosen it and not throw you off, because you can create massive damage, especially if you've got a bolt on that guitar to where you can't get to that truss rod. Once you do it, it's gone. And so the only way to fix it is to remove the fretboard off the front and install a new truss rod. So I encourage you, unless you're very knowledgeable of your instrument, do not fool with that. Okay, as we move on down to the acoustic, you'll see this big old hole. This hole won't usually be on a electric guitar, because generally they'll allow you a little bit of feedback if aimed in the wrong direction, and sometimes it's not a good feedback. But this is a sound hole, and that's what, as this instrument reverberates the strings on the inside, that's what gives you your volume or your output coming out to whoever you're playing it for, or if you want to hear it. That's where your sound, that's why they call it sound holes, because where most of the sound will come from. This is kind of a primitive amplifier, where it's kind of like a megaphone. If you put a megaphone up to your mouth and holler through it, it's kind of does the same principle of sending that voice out to you. Same thing with this sound hole. It magnifies that sound of that string, sends it back out to you, expeditiously. As I explained in the last one, this is a single cutaway. A lot of acoustics, sometimes they'll have this rounded edge on both sides. That's a dreadnought. And like I said, it's a matter of personal taste. I like the single cutaway because it allows you to get on farther down the neck. Next thing down the line is that right there is a tuner and an equalizer. And what that allows you to do is turn your volume up and down on your guitar. It doesn't affect it when you're not plugged into an amplifier though. So you're not going to hear a difference. You can move it all day long, and then you're not going to notice anything unless you get it plugged in. The other thing that they've got now is most acoustic electrics now have a onboard tuner. As you can see, this one is turned on now, and if I hit string, you see the string show it's in tune or it's not in tune. And that comes in handy, like I said, especially if you're a beginner and you're needing to know your way around. This right here will help you. Now that's, for the most part, that's the only thing that's on an acoustic. Like I said, you have your volume control and everything up here. Whereas that difference, and as I show you as we go through the other type of guitars, what the difference is. Also, as you look down here, you'll see the pegs, the little white dots. That is your pegs for your strings. That's what holds your strings in place. And you'll see the other little white bar. That is your bridge. And all of that is contained in the saddle, which is what you see there is the wooden part. The wooden part of the saddle, pretty well a stationary thing. Do not mess with it, because you're going to have to re-glue it or have all kinds of issues with it, or take it to professional to get that on there. But now the little white bar, it's the bridge. You can fool with that a little bit, sand the back off of it, a little bit on the bottom, to where it will allow those strings to be closer and allow you to make the neck easier to play. But now, if you get it too far, all of a sudden you're going to develop fret buzz, and you do not want to do that. But now if you do, it's not a big thing on this, because you can always put you a toothpick behind it, glue it in place, and you'll be right back up to the height you were. So it's not a bad thing for a rookie to try. Like I said, the other thing is the pegs. The pegs on this thing, what you do is after you loosen the strings up, you pull the pegs out, pull the string out. That's when you replace the string. Put the string back in, put the peg take the string back up, lace it through your nut and around your tuner heads. That's the way that is done. So it's not brain science. It's just a matter of doing it a couple of times before you get the hang of it. The other thing these have is strap locks, where you can put your strap on, and it allows your strap to be strapped around your neck if you're playing standing up. Some people even like to wear the strap when they're sitting down, so that it kind of holds it in place. And that again is just a matter of personal preference. Most guitars have a different jack plate. There's where you plug your cord at. If you've got an amplifier and a cord, you just plug it in here, plug the other half in your amplifier, and go from there. All you need is a cord and an amplifier and a place like that. But like I said, the good thing about acoustic, they got a good enough sound where you don't need an amplifier unless you're playing in a crowd or trying to play with other instruments. That's the only thing you need it for. You can sit there and play with it on your couch, on your bed, whatever you want to do outside on your porch. But the main thing is just get out and play. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be a solid body. Like I said, they don't differentiate a whole lot, but I'll go over that with you as well. Okay, guys, I'm back. This here is a Les Paul style guitar. It's a solid body electric, 2 pickups. Get into that later. Anyway, that's what this is. Start back like we did with the acoustic. Here's your headstock. Almost the same configuration as what you've seen on the acoustic. You've got the tuning pegs. You've got the truss rod cover with the truss rod under it and the nut as well. So like I said, same thing's the same thing. There's no problem there. You run into the same thing as you go down the fretboard, the neck. Like I said, same situation. And the strings, same situation. So nothing different here. So it's the same as the acoustic. Now you do get down here, this is back into the main body. You'll see this little switch here. This switch right here tells you which one of these pickups is going to make a sound. Pickups, that's what electrically sends your signal from the guitar to an amplifier to be picked up. Does make a difference on guitars, where the cheaper ones somehow have what they call microphonic pickups, which don't give you as good a sound. Most of these are potted or waxed, so they don't do feedback. So the higher you up you get with the pickups, better off they are as well. However, there are some, like I said, in the lower ranges that work just fine. But now these are what they call double humbuckings. If you look at it, you'll see 2 bars with screws in them. Each one of them is a pickup. So there's 2 pickups side by side. And one of them's wound one way, the other one's wound the other way, so that creates what they call it's a hum reducer. So it reduces the hum because one of them's battling the other one. The thing around here is called a bezel. The bezels are easily changed out. If, say, you want black ones around here instead of the white or the cream, you can change those out easily yourself. So that's a matter of personal taste. Pick guard, and down here you have another pickup. Now, this pickup is called the bridge pickup. This one here is called the neck pickup. This neck pickup will give you a more bassy sound. The sound will be, you'll have more bass in it, it'll be more mellower. The other one is closer to the bridge, so it causes you have more treble sound. So a matter of picking this switch, which way you want to go. Now this switch also allows you to choose dead center, which is choosing both of them at the same time. This is something that's pretty standard on electric, maybe a different configuration, but it's all going to be pretty standard. So you go from one guitar to the next, it's going to be pretty well the same as far as switching and that kind of thing in a pickup situation. Sometimes you'll get them just have 1 pickup, sometimes you'll have them with 3 pickups. So it's just a matter of which guitar you pick and everything, but you're going to be able to recognize right off the bat that, hey, that's the pickup and that's where the sound comes from. You can turn it on and peck on it with your finger, and you can tell which one, when you get in that position, pick on it on there, and you can see which one of them is really activated at that time. This next thing you see down here, this is the bridge. The bridge has all these adjustable fulcrums in here, and that's what allows your intonation. Here again, this is one of them things that I wouldn't fool with if I was a beginner or rookie. Just trusted my guitar set up well, and so I wouldn't have to fool with it. You can raise or lower by little pinwheels on both of these. I don't know if you can see that good enough, but there are little pinwheels on there that you can screw up, screw down. You want to loosen all your strings before you try to do this, because you're doing it one way and you're going to tighten it and you're going to break a string. So loosen your strings, try it down if you want to, up, whichever way you get the feel out of your strings that you want to. Here again, if your guitar's playing fine, I wouldn't mess with it, especially if you're a beginner, like I said. But as you move on and progress, you can move on up. This next thing down the line here, that's a tailpiece. The tailpiece is basically where the strings end on this particular type of guitar. Now, as you can tell by mine, well, okay, maybe you can't. By mine, I've raised mine up just a little bit. Now, don't take it too much, because you don't want to do that and bend your pins. So what you can do is turn it up about 3 turns, and the more you turn it up, the easier it's going to make your guitar chord. But now the thing about that too is there's going to be a point where you're going to create fret buzz or something like that if you make it too easy. So you don't want to do that. So try it. Experiment with it. That's something that you can experiment with and not have any repercussions. Like I said, unless you just pull it all the way up to where it's not got enough threads to hold it in there. The next thing you got here is you've got 2 volume knobs. Each knob, this knob controls this pot, this pickup, this knob controls this pickup, and you have tone knobs for each one as well. Those tone knobs do the same thing. The upper one controls the neck pickup, and the lower one controls the bridge pickup. Now, this you'll see a jack plate and a jack. This is where you plug your jack for your amplifier. You can plug it into that and take it straight to the amplifier. Now, some of these have different configurations. Some of them may have 2 of these so that you can have a stereo output. Some of them may have a plug that you can plug into your computer and have a USB type connection to your computer. So that's going to differentiate between guitar to guitar, but they're all going to have one of these, and most of them are just going to have one. So that's nothing to be worried about. The other thing, it's a place for your straps on both. And on this particular guitar, you've got cover here on the back. You can pull this cover off. If you have trouble with that switch, that's how you get to it, to unwire it now. But they're all solder connections, so if you're not real good solder, I'd suggest not messing with that as well. Down here now, this is what gets you into your tone and your volume knobs. All of the wires are routed through the body, but you can access them well through the body, but unless you just have to, I wouldn't fool with it. Like I said, as a beginner, know your instrument, get to know what you can do, what you can't do, experiment a little bit. But like I said, I'm trying to tell you what you can actually do and what you can't do. Now, what I do when I change strings is, a lot of people might fight and argue with this point, but I get some Wesson oil on a paper towel, and I go up each one of these frets. You'd be surprised how much dirt you clean out of it, and it also helps saturate that fretboard with some oil, so that oil soaks into it, so it keeps your fretboard from drying out. That's something, like I said, something I picked up a long time ago that I do. A lot of them use linseed oil and other things, but I just use plain old Wesson oil is what I use. Like I said, you want to take a rag afterwards and wipe all of the remainder off of that. Now this neck here is a rosewood neck, and there's a rosewood neck, there's a maple neck, and there's ebony neck. They make, that's the 3 main types of woods that they make a fretboard out of. Also, you get into these style guitars, typically you're looking at almost a flat fretboard. But now some of the maple necks, they'll have a radius fretboard where it has a little bit of curve to it, which makes it difficult, in my opinion, when I go to change from playing a maple neck to playing a rosewood neck and vice versa, because of the different way the neck feels in your hand. That's another reason for, as you go out, be knowledgeable and pay attention to what you're looking at and what to buy. So, like I said, here it is. This is the solid body. I'm going to be back with one more solid body that has a different setup on the bottom, and I will tell you about it. And then that way you'll be pretty aware of all parts of the guitar. So, thank you. All right, people, I'm back. This is the final guitar I'm going to be showing you and teaching you on. There's not very much difference from this guitar than the past solid body I showed you, other than the headstock configuration, which is a little different. You see here you've got 6 in a line on the top. Some people love it. This also comes in a reverse headstock, which has all 6 of them on the bottom, which I really don't like. But, you know, it's just a matter of personal preference, what everybody likes. This goes the same way, goes up, goes to a nut, goes down a fretboard. Now this is a Fender, and they, majority of the time, they'll have a maple neck on. This one, because the way I choose it, I choose to have it with a rosewood neck. But then, that's, like I said, that's all similar to what the other ones was. Like I said, the only difference is that's configuration on the headstock. Now, as you go down into the lower end of it, you'll see that these pickups, just one string with a string of screws, 6 screws to match the strings, that's what they call a single coil pickup. The single coil pickups are more conducive to hum. They will pick up 60 cycle hum off of fluorescent lights or bad lighting fixtures in a building. So if you're playing in a band, you got to learn to use your volume control a little bit better. And also, there's going to be more tinny, more bitey. Like I said, there's a lot of people that swear by this guitar. You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan, for example, Eric Johnson, and they can make them sound great. And that's, like I said, that's a matter of personal preference. Now this one has 3 particular single coils. Some of these guitars come with 2 doubles and a single, or 2 singles and a double, humbucking. So that's a matter of personal preference. What I would suggest is you go out and buy your guitar, that you listen to these, see what you like, what you don't like. You'll see this has got a 5-way switch on it. When I got it all the way to the bottom, it's playing just this, which is the bridge pickup. As I pull it up 1 notch, it plays the bridge and the middle pickup. Pull it up 1 more time, the middle pickup. That one goes to the middle and the top, and then lastly goes strictly to the neck pickup. This one has 1 volume and 2 tones, whereas the other one had a volume and a tone for each pickup. This one doesn't have that. This one has the 1 main volume. So no matter where you flick a switch, it's going to be controlled by that main volume. Also, it does not have a tailpiece on it. The tailpiece and the bridge and everything is all in the same unit, so that you don't have anything to do with that. But now, there are adjustments here. This can adjust your string height. But now this one, particular model here, you can adjust each string individually, which can be good or can be bad, because it could, if you get one just a little bit higher than the other, as you're doing your strumming, you're going to hit one, not hit the others, or it's going to cause you to fumble up and not do well there. So that has to be set up right. And they also move this way as well. So when they move this way, that changes your intonation on your string. So that's something else that, as a beginner, you don't want to fool with. You don't want to say, well, it just looks right if it's done another way. No, it's done like that, and you've got that gap for a purpose, because That's helped set the intonation and making sure that when you hit it on whatever fret that you're going to get the note that you're supposed to get out of it. This one here also has what they call a whammy bar, tremolo bar. And it allows you to loosen the tension on the strings, which is going to make it automatically go lower in key. And it's going to give you, like I said, you can wiggle it, causing a tremolo effect, and that's what it was originally designed for. But then Eddie Van Halen came along and started doing the dive bomb stuff, and that's how you do it with that. The downside of that and this particular guitar is typically it tends to throw them out of tune after a while. You can't do too many big heavy dive bombs without having to pull over and tune it up. So that's the big downside to that. Like I said, great effect. Really lets you get in or out of a solo real good by being able to dive bomb and get out of it. So it's just a matter of learning your instrument, practicing with it, seeing what you can do and what you can't do with it. This one is a double cutaway and a lot lighter guitar than the Gibson I just showed you. And also the last thing on this one is right here. Here's where you plug your cord in on this one. And like I said, it's good because you can see where you're at and everything. The bad thing is it's right here where you can see everything. So that's a matter of personal preference too, whether you like that or not. As a giant pick guard. Now, on this one, if something happens you want to change out the pickups or something, you can buy these with the pickups, the pick guard, the volume knobs, everything's already in place. So all you got to do is plug them in and then hook them up to your jack later. And that's probably the most simple guitar to change pickups in and out. Like I said, just a matter of popping the pickup cover, the pick guard off and pulling them out. So this is Fender Stratocaster. Like I told you in the past video, it does have a bolt-on neck. So if any happens, you break a neck, you wear a neck out, all you got to do is unbolt it and bolt another one in place. And it has an access plate here to get into the back. Here's where you come in with your strings on this one. Put them in from the back and bring them up through the top. But this also gets to, they've got springs on that tremolo bar that allows it to pretty well stay in tune. But like I said, sometimes it don't work too good. But like I said, that's something that you need to get familiar with so that you know the knowledge of. Now, that's pretty well all I can do with you as far as guitars and the personal parts. The next one I'm going to have is probably going to be on peripherals and things that can go with your guitar and get you started to playing. Then later on I'll get on to some beginner courses. But right now this is it. What I would like to ask is make a commitment. I want to see more guitar players. I want to see more people out there playing this instrument. There's not that many people that can actually play them. So get out there and get to playing it. And don't develop an ego. I mean, it's awful easy to get out there and you're playing in a club or at a church and 20 people come up and tell you how great you are. Don't let that get to your head. Keep playing, keep a smooth, level head on you. And when you play, concentrate on the song and the tune and the tone of it, rather than how great you are and your other bands or how other band members are not. You're going to get along a lot farther. Your band's going to progress a lot farther if you concentrate on the overall sound versus just the playing. So do your best. Get out there and play. Make a commitment that you're going to play an hour a day or more. And set that time aside. The 6 o'clock this evening, every evening I'm going to be in playing music. And do that religiously. And try to learn something new once or twice a week. That's going to cause you to want to learn more. Because the better you get, the better you want to get. And then the more that you play and learn, the better on you're going to get. But now, don't get so caught up in, I'm not as good as so-and-so, or I'll never be as good as so-and-so. A lot of it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of them you think are great are not really that good. And the more you learn, the more you'll know that. And So just get out there and play. Put yourself out there and progress and make a lot of music. Make us all happy. And thanks for listening. If you like this video, click on the like button. If you would, please subscribe. And also hit that little bell there. And then that way you'll know that the next video I come out with, you're going to be notified immediately. So appreciate it. Thank you. And keep rocking. Bye.